Captain Jake Morrison had seen many strange things during his 15 years exploring the Outer Rim territories, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The crystalline palace stretched endlessly before him, its walls pulsing with bioluminescent veins that cast dancing shadows across the polished floors. He walked alone through corridors that seemed to breathe, his boots clicking against surfaces that felt both organic and synthetic. The diplomatic mission to the Vex homeworld had been routine until 3 days ago. First contact protocols demanded careful negotiation, and Jake had been chosen specifically for his patience and cultural sensitivity. The Vex were an ancient race, their civilization spanning millennia, while humanity still struggled with interplanetary travel. Their technology bordered on the incomprehensible, their cities grown rather than built, their society structured around biological castes that defied human understanding. Queen Vera ruled from the apex of this biological hierarchy. She stood, nearly 8 feet tall, her elongated limbs graceful despite their alien proportions. Her skin possessed an opalescent quality that shifted between deep purples and silvery blues depending on the light. Most striking were her eyes, large and multifaceted like cut gems, reflecting intelligence that seemed to peer directly into his soul. Jake had spent weeks in formal negotiations with her council, discussing trade agreements and territorial boundaries. The talks had proceeded smoothly, both sides finding common ground despite their vast differences. Yet throughout these meetings, he had noticed the Queen's attention lingering on him in ways that transcended diplomatic interest. Now she had summoned him privately to her personal chambers, a breach of protocol that had left her advisors visibly uncomfortable. The room defied geometric logic, its walls curving in impossible directions while maintaining perfect structural integrity. Pools of luminescent liquid dotted the floor, their purpose unclear, but their beauty undeniable. "You seem troubled by our architecture," Queen Vera observed, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated in frequencies humans could barely perceive. She approached him slowly, her movements flowing like water given form. "It's remarkable," Jake replied honestly. "Your people have achieved something beyond our current understanding. We build with metals and composites, but you've mastered living construction." The Queen's expression shifted, and Jake realized he was witnessing something like pleasure. Her species communicated partially through color changes in their skin, and the warm golden hues now spreading across her features suggested approval. "Your people interest me greatly," she continued, moving closer. "In all our explorations, we have encountered thousands of species. Most are either primitive or have transcended physical existence entirely. Humans occupy a unique position, possessing both technological ambition and emotional depth." Jake nodded carefully, uncertain where this conversation was heading. The Queen's proximity made him acutely aware of their size difference, yet he felt no threat from her presence. If anything, there seemed to be a vulnerability in her posture that contradicted her imposing stature. "We have studied your species extensively," Queen Vera said, her voice dropping to something approaching intimacy. "Your capacity for loyalty, for love, for sacrifice transcends anything we have observed. Our own culture values duty and efficiency above personal bonds." She paused before one of the luminescent pools, its light casting her features in an ethereal glow. When she turned back to Jake, her multifaceted eyes held an expression he struggled to interpret. "I have ruled for over 3 centuries, she continued. "I have overseen the expansion of our territories, the advancement of our sciences, the prosperity of our people. Yet I have done so alone, as tradition demands. Queens of my caste are expected to remain unbounded, devoted entirely to the collective good." Jake felt a growing sense of where this conversation might lead, though he hardly dared believe it. The implications were staggering, not just personally, but diplomatically. An alliance between their species was one thing, but this suggested something far more complex. Recently, I have begun to question these traditions, Queen Vera said, moving closer still. She was now within arm's reach, her alien beauty both fascinating and intimidating. Your species has shown us that strength can come from unity rather than isolation. Your bonds make you more formidable, not less. Jake's heart rate increased as he processed her words. The queen of an advanced alien civilization was confiding in him thoughts that probably bordered on heresy within her own culture. I have watched you during our negotiations, she continued, her voice barely above. Whisper. You demonstrate qualities that our leaders lack. Compassion without weakness, determination without cruelty, intelligence tempered by wisdom. You represent everything I find admirable about humanity. The chamber fell silent except for the subtle hum of the living architecture around them. Jake realized that this moment would likely define not just his own future, but potentially the relationship between their entire species. Queen Vera stepped even closer, close enough that he could see his reflection multiplied in her crystalline eyes. Her next words came in a voice so soft he had to strain to hear them. Would someone like you ever marry me, human? The question hung in the air between them, like a bridge spanning two different worlds. Jake understood that she was not just asking about marriage, but about the possibility of two vastly different beings finding common ground in the most intimate way possible. He looked into her eyes and saw past the alien features to something unmistakably familiar. Despite their different origins, different biologies, different cultures, he recognized the same vulnerability that existed in any being brave enough to open their heart to another. Your Majesty, Jake said carefully, I think that someone like me would be honored beyond measure by such a question from someone like you. The golden hues in her skin intensified, spreading across her features like sunrise, breaking over a distant horizon. For the first time since arriving on her world, Jake saw the Queen's smile dot in that moment. He realized that the greatest discoveries in space might not be new technologies or distant worlds, but the universal truths that connected all thinking beings. Love, it seemed, was truly the final frontier, capable of bridging any gap and overcoming any difference. The future stretched before them, uncertain but filled with unprecedented possibilities.